Boom, boom. This is Ken, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. All right, we got a little bit of Azur Lane on tap today. Got a few things to cover, so let's go ahead and jump right into it. All right, the event ends tomorrow evening, so you've got today and tomorrow to get as many of the Arc-Light crystals as you can. You're going to have to purchase all of the items in the shop. And when I mean items, I mean other than the actual character that you're going to have to get. You're going to have to get the items as well. If you want any chance of making a feasible team based off the collab, the Gridman Collab, you're going to have to get all of the items here. I already bought the actual sword simply because I have Rika. Rika was the first one that I got. I got all of them except for Chise, so I'm in good shape from that position. I just managed to get Akane this morning. She was the one that seemed to be eluding me. So I've got Akane, Yumi, Hasmujina, and Namiko. Those were all the ones. And then I've, of course, got Rika up here. I went ahead and purchased the actual sword for her simply because of the fact that makes her a little bit stronger. She's able to equip all of the weapons. You can use them in all types of formats. She really is the best character, considered by everyone I've been spoken to be the best character within the collab. So, and she's the one I got. And I got, as you can see, I've already fully limit broke her because, I mean, I got Akane. I got Akane yesterday, and I think it was either the day before that or 2 days before that I got actually Yumi, and then other times that I'd gotten anything, it was Akane, Rika. So I fully broke Rika. So if they're going to give you a bunch of copies of her, you got to use them. So that saves you having to use the your prototype bullets. So that's what. So I have everybody except for Chise. You're going to have to purchase, like I said, you're going to have to purchase everything in the shop if you want to have a fairly decent fleet. They've set this up. There's quite a bit of synergy. If you don't buy the items, you can still get Rika's buff by using the characters instead. Unfortunately, just if you take a look, so if you have the Battle Tracto Max or Bustable equipped, so those are the two items, or if the ship is sorted with Namiko or Haas, you get the buff for the skill. But Namiko and Haas are epic. They're not, Namiko and Haas, they're not going to be able to withstand any of the late game levels. So building a fleet around them is just not something that's feasible at this point. I mean, they're not destroyers, granted, they're cruisers, but still, epic ships just don't do very well in late game, simply because of the fact that they just can't survive. So you're building a fleet around them would not be worth the trouble. So it's best to just get the items and equip them on Rika. That way you'll get all the buffs. She's got healing buffs, damage buffs. She gets all kinds of buffs if you equip her with all of the items. And then you've got Yumi and Akane. Akane's not bad. I'm in the process of working her up. I haven't had much chance to do that. But she's clearly good damage, and then she has the ability to heal. Okay, so when it says once per battle, when the ship's HP falls below 30%, damage increases the ship's firepower and heals the ship 4 times for 2% uptick. So, she can heal herself, so that makes her a little bit better in terms of that. So she's considered by most people to be the second best ship in the event. Next is Yume and Chise. They're both very good. Chise is a little bit better than Yume actually, but so that's that's enough. That's enough for a basis for the fleet, and then you can always supplement. In terms of once you get those items, there's really not any specific buffs that you can get, inter-party that don't involve the items. So as long as you purchase all the items and equip them, you'll be getting pretty much the maximum usefulness out of the ship. Rika is considered by most to be something that you might be able to use fairly late game, simply because of the fact that she does do healing on the Vanguard. So she's got some capabilities. So having a ship with the four SSRs, and then supplement with a flagship. You might want to throw a flagship in there. you know, maybe Jersey, something like that, or maybe possibly one of the others. You know, you can go Shinano, or maybe, you know, stack a PR in there, like you could put FTG in there. Uh, but since the flagship position is not required for any of the ships in this particular fleet, you can feel free to use one of your flagships for an extra buff. So it's possible to build a fleet comprised mostly of the collab ships, but in terms of building a late game fleet, it's you know, you're going to have to supplement it, but it might be difficult. But it's something to play with and see what you can do. I mean, we're not talking meta here, but the collab was interesting. I really enjoyed it. So just make sure that you do focus on it, get everything that you need to out of it. You're going to have a lot of Arclight crystals. There's no way around it. I've got 41.5. I've already purchased, like I said, I already purchased the sword. So so basically, I've got another 14,000 to spend on those items, unless I get say sometime today or tomorrow. I'm pretty much to the max where I want to in terms of using my prisms. I want to use those for. We're going to be having a UR ship coming out here pretty soon. I'm thinking probably within the next 2 events, we should be seeing the next UR ship. So you want to make sure that you have enough for the pity, so that you're guaranteed to get the ship if you do. Otherwise, you're going to have to rely. RNG's been pretty good. I mean, I had pretty decent luck on this one. I did manage to get all the ships, except for Chise, but of course I'll be purchasing her inside the shop if I don't get her. But I did get all of the ships, so I was really lucky. I was getting worried about Akane until I hit her yesterday evening. Took that. But yeah, so you want to get all 4 of the items. Like I say, I already purchased the sword, but get all 4 of that by Chise. Snatch up the parts and the blueprints as always. There are some cognitive arrays in here. You're going to want to go ahead and start snatching those up as well too. Any way you can get them is fine. But you know, this is the easiest way to get your hands on them within the shop. So I assume this is going to be a permanent entry. You know, it's only 50, but hey, you know, cognitive arrays. You don't need as many cognitive arrays. You need more of the cognitive chips. I've got so many cognitive chips right now. That's not something I need to worry about. I started collecting cognitive chips from the beginning. I made sure that I had enough of them, so whenever I wanted to, you know, limit break a ship, I had the capability to do it, and you know, do the maximum enhancements to get them up to where they need to be. So that's where we're at in terms of that. Now, you got until tomorrow evening. So the easiest way to go about this, what I've been doing is I've just been repeatedly, after I do run this mission right here once to get my 800, and then I've just been hitting T4 and just running that repeatedly. You get about 180 each time you run it. You could use the items. You could double run it to get your 360 right that way, and you should be able to do it. Just as long as you do it. Try to run it 6 or 7, 8 times a day. If you've been doing that consistently, you should be able to get it. If you haven't, you need to start doing it because we got until tomorrow evening, and then the event's going to be over. But it was an interesting story. I mean, it was not bad. Everything made sense. It was pretty, it did stick with the Gridman Dinozen format, so they did a pretty good job with the collab. And I do like the fact that they gave us a bunch of new ships. So that's always a good thing as well too. But yeah, so we'll be going back to the regular grind after the event tomorrow. So when it ends tomorrow evening, next day we should have a standard hold me off event. Before the next big event comes, we'll have something to hold us off for a week or so. There is nothing to clear in terms of special missions associated with this particular collab. All you have to do is just basically just each day in the missions you could run make sure you run an event phase, just do simple things like that. There's no special requirement to actually limit break ships or anything like that to get a chat screen or anything like that. It actually would have been a good idea to have a special item associated with the format, but they didn't do it on this one. So everything else is pretty standard. This is the Arclight. As I said, this is going to end on the 8th. Okay, training plan. Like I say, I got all the copies of Magina, so don't need to worry about that anymore. The cruise mission is of course still up. It's got some pretty good rewards in here if you do decide to go ahead and spend 99 for the Fair Winds coupon. But yeah, a lot of good stuff in there in terms of that. But other than that, it's just been going through it. It's got a long ways to go, but you got plenty of time. You have until the 31st, so it's not like it's something that needs to be completed. Focus on immediately. Just check in. I like to check in weekly and try to make sure that I've completed all of the weekly events. So I just check in usually on, like, I start out and I'll check on Monday to see what's in there. It's usually pretty much similar. And then Wednesday I'll check to see how things are going, just regular play. And then on Thursday and Friday I'll focus on specifics, like maybe have to enhance an item, or maybe you have to do some retire a certain number of ships. It's just none of the stuff is stuff that you can't compete. It's all basically associated with daily tasks that you might have to do. It might take 2 weeks to do it, so make sure that you don't spend if you could wait and do something to finish it up next week without having to spend more to do it that week, it's always best to do that. You don't have to finish the weekly events on the week that they actually occur. They just have to be completed by the end of the event, so you have multiple weeks to actually complete it. Like I said, I completed the last one. I completed it weeks before it actually needed to be completed. So it shouldn't be much of an issue with that. So I don't think you have any problem with that. Other than that, everything else has been pretty good. It was a nice event. I liked it. First real big collab that they had out. So hopefully they'll start to doing a little bit more collabs with some other things that we'll see. Because I know not a lot of people were familiar with Gridman and Dinah's End, and so we'll have to see. But they did a really good job with it, having to fight the kaiju at the end. Having Purity and Through Fire in there was pretty interesting as well too. So always interesting to see it take part in their storylines. But they did a really pretty good job, and the ships are pretty good as well too. The three, you got 4 SSR ships in there, not bad ships. Most Rika, Akane, pretty much top of the line in terms of what they had, and it's just saying, and you are not far behind. The epics, the two, Hasmugina, they're pretty much, there's nothing to write home about in terms of you just want to get them for the collection. But all in all, they're just average ships. There's nothing that makes them stand out. But the 4 SSR ships won't know until you actually get them into a full fleet. But it sounds like that they do have some capabilities that might make them pretty useful. So it might be a fleet that you want to look into building. But something to do in the future. Don't really have much time to do it right now. But just run it. Yeah, I'm say about 45. Try to get between 45 and 50. If you got Chise, you can probably get away with less than that. But getting between 45 and 50, you should be able to purchase everything that you need. Okay, that was my goal, was to get up to between 45 and 50, and that would enable me to get everything. And then I'm just going to purchase her, and then purchase the other items. And then with anything left over, I'll just sketch up what I normally snatch up. In terms of that, I'll get the blueprints, of course, because I'm still working on Azuma, and then I'll focus on the parts. But having a pretty good run getting the parts and stuff. A lot of the events that they've been having out, they're giving away parts. And I noticed also the shop has been quite generous with parts as well too. They've been offering, I noticed that they've been a lot more prevalent inside of the shop. There's a wisdom cube. So it's helped, keep the replenishments going. It's getting a lot, tending is a lot easier. Used to have problems. I would focus basically, I was basically, since I really don't have to do much farming for ships anymore, I've got all the ships throughout the farming stages. I usually farm either for blueprints for weapons or farm for a place where I can get the best parts. So that's usually what I focus on. I don't need to really do the ships anymore. The only ship I don't have is from 3-4 Kagi. And I do go back and run it every now and then, but I just, not something I need to worry about at this point. Now that I'm focusing on the higher levels, just trying to get the ships in 11, 12, and 13, That's what I've already started doing a little bit of farming at 11, and finishing up 12. So you try to get to you got to try to get to a point where your fleets can auto those stages so you can get the ships. It makes it a little bit interesting, but as long as you have some healing, a little bit of healing to promote the survivability, you shouldn't have any trouble. There are just certain things that you need in certain ships, plus with the levels breaking to 125, as well as you can get with your equipment, taking the equipment up a few more enhancements, should enable you to beat 11 and 12 and 13, as long as you have a fairly synergized fleet. It shouldn't be a problem. So that's what I got, but I just wanted to give everybody, I did get all the ships. I'll have all the ships. One thing that you need to make sure of on the shop, okay, this shop is, just like always, still going to be open for an extra 7 days after the event ends. Okay, so the shop's going to be open till the 15th. Okay, yes, there's no limit breaking of ships or do anything, so there's absolutely no rush to actually purchasing. But like I say, event ends tomorrow evening, so after that you won't be able to run for Arclight crystals anymore, so you'll just have to do what you can do. So you can be able to purchase everything, but it is going to be open for 7 days if you're having some, I guess, some type of indecision about what to purchase. But like I said, go for the parts, the blueprints, right here. Snatch up the cognitive race if you got it left over, and definitely if you're going to do any type of even thinking about doing a fleet for the collab, you're going to need collab ships. You're going to need to have all this equipment. And put it on Rika. She benefits the most from these pieces of equipment, and Rika is the focus ship. You'll have to have her in the fleet, and then build up from that and see what you can make. But it shouldn't be a problem. I'm using her right now. As like I said, I've been having her in the fleet consistently, and she's been doing fine for me. I didn't get Yum and Akane until just later. So by the time I got him with the event ending, it just wasn't enough time to focus on building them up. Okay, so I've been mainly just running commissions with them and whatnot to help out and get things a little bit better. But in terms of running it, I've been putting her in. She's been doing a really good job. I have not had anything to complain about in terms of this. Basically, I'm just using ships to level them up. Jean Bart, Duke, just trying to level them up. Try to get him to 120. That's what I do. Soryu, retrofit, and then Ayanami, and I decided to go ahead and throw Laffy. And I've been putting off Ayanami and Laffy. I put them off because they were destroyers, and destroyers are they're getting better. They're still not where they need to be for survival. But my assumption is, at least the way I'm getting from the devs, is that they are going to make destroyers a little bit more capable. They've already made them dealing out a little bit. They can deal out some pretty good damage if you equip them right. So I decided to go ahead and start bringing Ayanami and Laffy up to 120. So that's why you'll see 2 destroyers in my front line. They're having no trouble whatsoever autoing T4. But with a backline of 118, 119, and 117, of course they would. With Rika in the center, I have not had any trouble whatsoever completing this. So that's what I've been running it with, and it dual use. Getting the Arclight crystals while at the same time using ships that need to be leveled up. I want to do a French-Italian Sardinia Vichy Divinian fleet. She's Jean Bart would be a part of that. Soryu, the enhanced version of her, she's much better. So definitely want to use her as well. I've been using her quite frequently. She has a pretty good skill set. It's Duke of York, in case you're wondering. You don't hear much about her, but she has a surprisingly interesting skill set, which is why I brought her up. I decided that I might be able to use her in some situations, so I decided to go ahead and bring her up. Plus, I like the graphic. I think she's got a really nice design, so I decided to go ahead and bring her up as well. So that's why I'm running those. And then as ships get to 120, like I just finished up Jeanne d'Arc. I just finished her up today. Took her out and put Laffy in her place because I got her to 120. So that's what I do. Bring ships up to 120. Use them in auto. Make sure you put them in. Make sure you put them in the Dorn as well too. That way they can run. You can use them for more than 5 in Dorn, and I just rotate. Okay, like when I brought Jeanne d'Arc up to 120, I took her out, put Laffy in, and then I put Laffy in a Dorm in her place. So as you can see, that's the way it goes. So getting the added benefit from the experience inside of here, plus running them in the actual event is the quickest way to get the ships leveled up, and multiple uses from that. Just go ahead and get some, throw some chips in here, give them some soda, just keep them full. I do love this dorm design here. I like it because of the fact that it's all low. There's not obstructions to prevent me from clicking and getting my affinity and my coins. That's extremely annoying, having to drag a child out, simply because a ship girl out, simply because of the fact that she's hidden behind something and I can't get the affinity to. It seems like whenever they're partially hidden, but even if you can actually see the actual heart or coin, you click on it, nothing happens. It just won't accept it, as though you move them out from behind it and then click on it and it works fine. But this one's really good. I haven't not found anything on here. I did have Soryu stuck back in here between these two buildings one time. Unfortunately, she did not have anything that needed, an affinity or a coin that needed to be grabbed at that time, so I didn't have to do it. But as you can see, as I mentioned earlier, I was going to put some seats in here, but I noticed that they were one time when I came in the dorm to take things that they were sitting on the buildings, and then I had one of my mentioned in the comments that they did sit on buildings. So there's no use to actually worry about supplying some seats for them, just so they can sit down and have a break. They can just sit on the buildings, which I think is pretty cool. And I also love them the way they stomp around inside this little section here. It's pretty good. And then they got a picture of all these items here. This right here is the actual event that you'll get. Okay, for completing the actual event, this is the item that you'll get. So it sits above the city here with the little medallion. So it's pretty cool. I like it. Probably keep it on for a little while. Until something new comes along that catches my fancy. Like I said, they usually have something in new events, and I do purchase them when they come out. Like I said, I collect the dorm coins all the time, and I keep up on that as well, so that I have a lot of them. So whenever something comes out, I can usually just go ahead and purchase it with the coins. They do have some pretty good ones, actually. They go to the trouble to designing it. It's called the Model City, is what it's called. So it's pretty good. But yeah, we'll see. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching. Remember to subscribe. Once you subscribe, you'll see the bell. Click on the bell, you get notified, of course, each time I drop a video. Also, remember to like and share the video, as it helps the channel immensely. Just as a note, if you do watch my Soul Land Reloaded videos, I do have a playlist for those now, and also completed a playlist for Destiny Child. So I do have playlists for all of them now: Azur Lane, Bleach, Soul Land, and Destiny Child all have playlists now, so you can watch. You can start the playlist and you can view them in order. If you're just starting out and you want to go back, like Azur Lane and Destiny Child have been out for quite some time. So if you're just starting those two games, and I would suggest you do, because they're both very friendly for free to play. You can actually free to play those games and be successful in them. So you might want to start from the beginning and watch it up. Another thing I like about the fact is that Destiny Child and Azur Lane have not had the old ships are still functional. At the beginning of the game in Azur Lane, one of the first really good ships you get is the Enterprise. Everybody still uses Enterprise. She's a beast in PvP, and she's still a useful ship. Okay, but you'll get the other ships as you go through, and they have rerun events where you can get all the new ships. So there's nothing that's really out of your reach in terms of getting everything that you need, even though the game's been out for 2 years now. It's the same with Destiny Child. One of the first characters that I maxed out and used was Eve. I'm still using her. So you don't have to worry about dynamic shifts that completely redesign the system, making all that work that you put in from the beginning when you first gave the game to be a waste. That's one of the reasons I quit games like Danmachi. That just too much. they're already like into version 3 characters, and some of the characters that they made when the game first came out, which people like, are useless. They're just overpowered by the newer characters. They did not do it, they didn't analyze the dynamics, and they didn't buff the older characters to keep them in line with the newer characters. So they ended up making subsets and substandards, and that's why a lot of people have stopped playing the game. The only reason there's still anybody playing it is because they like the anime, which I still do watch the anime, but yeah, just don't play the game anymore. Just got tired of having to constantly shift my team to a different team. I mean, the first team that I had when I came out, I got them super powerful, maxed them up, ascended them, did their weapons, did everything to them, made them super powerful, and they still barely beat some of the newer teams, even the teams that aren't even close to being maxed out, and they're still getting beat because they're just overpowered. They've given these new characters more powers and stuff, and I just didn't like that. I also didn't like the fact that they have like 20 versions of the same character. They got a little bit overzealous with what they were trying to do, and dropped down into a level that a lot of people didn't like. So a lot of people left the game. But haven't seen any of that with Azur Lane, Destiny Child. Bleach seems to be seriously close to doing that, but they haven't yet. So I'm still playing and enjoying Bleach. Soland Soland just started out. They're only a couple of months old, but they're doing really well. I was really extremely apprehensive about that game as well, simply because of the fact that it's the developers, it's Chinese. They tend to have shady monetary practices. Soland does have shady monetary practices, but they also have ways that it can be done without having to spend thousands of dollars. Just goes a little bit slower, but if you keep an eye on it, they do. The stuff that they come out with, the new SS characters. I've already got 2 SS characters right now. The one that was given to you after doing the special event, and I've got Tangsan. There's 2 other characters. There's one other character that they came out with. I've got almost enough shards to get that. I do have enough shards to get another one of the SS characters. I just haven't decided which one I'm going to do yet. Leaning towards the healer Oscar, but yeah. So as long as they offer ways that you can do it, I'm going to play the game. That's what I look for because I do love the IP. All right. So again, thanks a lot for watching. Like and share, help the channel. Again, this is Kendrick coming at you from the corner, signing out.